When did you realize someone in your life wasn't the person you thought they were, either in a good or bad way? I first noticed him years ago when I started at the company. A bloke in his 50s who seemed to live to make people laugh. His jokes were endless, often bordering on childish, and he had this way of turning the most mundane moments into little sketches that had everyone in stitches. At first, I figured he was just that guy, the office class clown, someone who thrived on attention and lighthearted chaos. Most people either loved him or tolerated him, but no one ever doubted he was all about fun. Then my dad died. I came back to work after a week off, still numb and barely functioning, trying to put one foot in front of the other. I was quiet, withdrawn, keeping my distance from the chatter and the jokes that usually would have pulled a small smile from me. Most people gave the obligatory condolences and left it at that. Not him. He found me in the break room one afternoon, sat down across from me, and didn't crack a single joke. He just asked questions. Who my dad was, what he was like, stories from my childhood. He listened as I stumbled through words, tears threatening at the corners of my eyes. He shared some of his own experiences when his mom had passed away years ago. He didn't try to fix things or tell me to get over it like some people do. He just listened, really listened, and made space for me to grieve. After that day, he kept checking in, always subtly, never pushing. A pat on the shoulder as I walked by, a few words of encouragement when he saw I was struggling to focus. A lighthearted joke that didn't feel forced, but had a touch of warmth. He never made me feel like I had to respond, just that someone noticed and cared. Over the next few weeks, I realized that his constant joking, his need to lift spirits, wasn't just a personality quirk, it was deliberate. He genuinely wanted to make people feel better, to be there in ways that weren't obvious at first glance. A few months later, some of the younger guys and I invited him on a fishing trip. I expected him to be the life of the party, maybe show off some skills or tell exaggerated stories of past catches. But he barely fished. He spent most of the day teaching the inexperienced guys little tips, explaining things slowly, answering questions with patience. He'd joke and tease, sure, but the focus was always on the people around him. When lunch rolled around, he'd already started a little fire, cooking up a feast far more elaborate than anyone needed, just to make sure everyone was fed and happy. Watching him, I realized that the clown at work wasn't performing for attention. He genuinely cared about the morale of everyone around him. It hit me fully then how wrong I had been in my first impressions. This guy I dismissed as a childish joker was actually one of the kindest, most considerate people I'd met. He understood people in ways that were subtle but meaningful. He knew when to joke, when to teach, when to step back and simply listen. The more time I spent around him, the more I saw how consistent it was, how much of his energy went into thinking about the well-being of others. Now those fishing trips have become a small tradition. We joke, we fish, we eat way too much, and he's always there at the center, not commanding the spotlight, but quietly making sure everyone is included, comfortable, and happy. I still catch myself laughing at some ridiculous story he tells, but now it's layered with a deep respect for the person underneath. I'd underestimated him, assumed that someone so outwardly silly couldn't be so genuinely compassionate. It's rare to see that kind of authenticity in anyone, let alone someone who seems all fun on the surface. And yet, here he is, consistently lifting people up, without any recognition needed, just because that's who he is. Seeing him like this changed the way I judge people, the way I notice the little things they do. Not everyone wears their heart on their sleeve, and sometimes the most meaningful gestures are the quiet ones. He taught me that without ever saying it outright, just through his actions, his patience, and his care. And now, whenever I think back to that first lunch break, the one where he gave me space to grieve, I can't help but feel grateful. Not just for what he did for me then, but for what he continues to do for everyone around him.